dimension of mind, a dimension of mind, a dimension of mind, a dimension of mind. You unlock this door with the key of imagination, or 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 with the key of imagination.
Wordsworth, Romney, obsolescence.
You walk into this room at your own risk, because it leads to the future. Not a future that will be, but one that might be. This is not a new world. It is simply an extension of what began in the old one. It has patterned itself after every dictator who has ever planted the ripping imprint of a boot on the pages of history since the beginning of time. It has refinements, technological advances, and a more sophisticated approach to the destruction of human freedom. But like every one of the superstates that preceded it, it has one iron rule. Logic is an enemy and truth is a menace.
That connects wirelessly through the skin to a wearable device that we call the Link, which contains a Bluetooth radio and a battery. And this is importantly the only battery and radio in the implant. So if you take this off, the implant shuts off. And if there's software upgrades or security issues, it's much easier to upgrade the firmware on the pod than it is to try and change the implant.
Okay, you're done. Not so bad, right?
Hardly felt a thing.
Welcome aboard.
Victory is all mine.
It'll be controlled through an iPhone app. You won't have to go to a doctor's office and have them have an exotic programmer to configure it.
Yeah, I pre-ordered Genesis weeks ago. Downloading the second the counter hit 0. No way I'm standing in line for it.
You know about Genesis? How? What is it? Where'd you hear about it?
I'll call you back.
Genesis is an operating system? What's it do?
Genesis does everything. My phone will link to my tablet, will link to my computer, will link to my car. Everything in my life uploaded and online 24/7. Totally connected.
Spend on average $2,000 a year on cell phone and internet usage. It gives me great pleasure to announce those days are over. As of tomorrow, every man, woman, and child can claim a free SIM card compatible with any cell phone, any computer, and utilize my communications network for free. Free calls, free internet for everyone, forever.
Hello, I'm Colonel Matt Hepburn. I'm a program manager in the Biological Technologies Office at DARPA. I am an active duty Army infectious diseases physician and have specialized in addressing biological threats that can either be engineered or naturally occurring, such as Ebola or pandemic influenza. Today we're going to be talking about one of the technologies that I actively manage, a company called Profusa, which is aiming at achieving tissue-level continuous health monitoring. Through the SBIR program, we funded them to solve an incredible technical challenge that no one else had been previously able to solve. The key innovation that was presented to us is they said, why can't we make a chemical substance that's really identical to what's underneath the skin, what we call the subcutaneous tissue, so that your body doesn't recognize it as a foreign body response. It just incorporates itself into the tissue. And we have a lot of examples now where a sensor put right underneath the skin can sense things like oxygen and other chemicals that are very important to our metabolism. And not just sense that for a day or a week or even a month, but we imagine that sensing these parameters can go on for a period of years. One of the most important applications to us is so that we can improve the health of our worldwide deployed military force. We feel a strong sense of obligation that if we're going to ask somebody to be deployed and to carry out their mission, that we want to keep them healthy. And this technology will give us a way to monitor if someone is getting sick. We imagine that we would be able to sense that very early and therefore prevent them from getting sick and prevent their complications, allow them to stay healthy and continue to carry out their mission. In addition, if our technology translates into general health benefit, we're very excited about that. So in other words, we fund those national security applications. The company finds private sector partnership funding for that general health benefit. And we see it as really a win-win as this technology develops.
In today's fast-paced and demanding world, more and more people are stressed, sleep-deprived, and lack the proper nutrition needed to perform at an optimal level. The need to measure your health and make the required changes is more important than ever before. Luckily, there is an easy and comfortable solution literally at your fingertips. Introducing BioRing, the world's most groundbreaking wellness tracker. BioRing is a revolutionary ring that easily and accurately measures your calorie, fat, and protein intake automatically. Using cutting-edge technology, BioRing takes a clear picture of your health and shows you how to improve it.
First, I think it's very important to know that the COVID-19 pandemics just has accelerated certain trends which we had seen before and which actually were discussed in Davos this year, like the lack of inclusion, the lack of paying sufficient attention to the environment. So what we will see now is acceleration of those trends, and of course, a unique opportunity to reset our global agenda, to do something about all those negative developments. I include also the lack of international cooperation. Because if we don't address those issues, we will end up in a much worse world than we are today. So let's use this window of opportunity and let's recreate a global framework which really is in line with the requirements of a society in the 21st century.
To say we are experiencing troubling times may be an understatement. As multiple disasters target our regions, dialectics move the mob and proxy wars ensue around us. I sit literally a few miles away from raging fires that threaten my place of residence. So if you want to know where I've been, well, let's just say I've been preparing for evacuation and arming myself for the SHTF. And I'm not going down without a fight. But aside from the obvious domestic terrorism of the day, I want to discuss the occult, esoteric, or subliminal terrorism that is being rolled out, unbeknownst to the normies and political proxy warriors of the moment. Many of us have been discussing this situation, and it was only a matter of time and specific psychological operations before it would come. I had warned old friends years ago about this moment we are experiencing, ignored, made fun of, and shunned for my ideas, and well, here we are. The injectable biochip is here, and just about ready for FDA approval. As I've stated in many of my videos post-March 2020, the COVID scamdemic has been all about the Agenda 21 digital grid surveillance system as part of the Great Reset, our initiation into the Fourth Industrial Revolution, taking us from the Third Industrial Revolution of computer technology into the Fourth Industrial Revolution of intelligent technology and biological transhumanism. In Klaus Schwab's work, The Fourth Industrial Revolution, a transhumanist how-to guide and technopolic blueprint, he focuses heavily on two important concepts of the future: nanotechnology and biotechnology. he discusses significantly the purpose of digital wearables and the fusing of human biology with the web, the merging of mankind and the Internet of Things. It has been my contention that this social engineering operation called COVID-19 is specifically part of and catalyst for this great socio-economic reset that is required for the Fourth Industrial Revolution to begin, under the methods and regulations of Agenda 21-2030. Of course, by way of Technopoly's headquarters, Silicon Valley, the company Profusa has been nearing its finalization of the very technology that will merge mankind with the Internet of Things. Just like Schwab describes in his book, Profusa, which describes the profuse or giving freely in large amount, often in excess or abundance, seems rather fitting for a global vaccine, I might add. Profusa is funded and supported by the state military-industrial complex agency, DARPA, the futurists and totalitarians' bulldog of technocracy, or muscle of Technopoly. What's interesting to know is that DARPA actually funded Profusa and this biochip-specific project in August of 2019, roughly 6 months before the fake pandemic hit American shores, and precisely 2 months before the live COVID exercise event 201 in October. Fascinating. Let's see how Profusa aims to assist the Great Reset in its global operation for full spectrum dominance under the guise of infection detection technology, where human beings are no longer God-created individuals of free will, but numerical units given social credit by way of their infection status and bioscore.
And let's recreate a global framework which really is in line with the requirements of a society in the 21st century.
Welcome to the 21st century. Hydrogel chip will connect you to the internet. Hydrogel is a DARPA invention that includes nanotechnology and nanobots. This bioelectronic interface is a part of the COVID-19 mRNA vaccines supply system. The biochip being developed by Profusa is just like the proposed COVID-19 mRNA vaccines in that it makes use of hydrogel. The implant is the scale of a grain of rice and connects to an internet database that can maintain and observe modifications in your biochemistry and a big selection of biometrics comparable to coronary, heart, and respiratory price and way more. Nanotechnology may theoretically be used to make mind control programs, invisible and cellular eavesdropping gadgets, or unimaginably horrific instruments of torture. May help enhance monitoring for peripheral artery illness. However, whereas it may be handy, this type of expertise may even have speedy ramifications for our privateness. Who will acquire and have entry to all this information? Who will likely be chargeable for defending it? How will it be used and when? Let's go straight to the horse's mouth and see what Profusa has to say about this. Clearly in these images here, what we see is the propaganda used to promote this type of science. First, we see the military aspect here, where this will be used on soldiers. And of course, it will be used to monitor their health and make sure that they are properly guided and protected out on the field. And of course, they tie in the elderly component, making sure we can properly manage and monitor your health. And then we have the athlete involved. Profusa partners announce initiation of study to measure early signs of influenza through biosensor technology. So that's what this is, biosensor technology, under the guise of treating healthcare issues. Of course, they're trying to start this off with early signs of influenza, which is a respiratory infection. Kind of reminds you of something called COVID, does it not? COVID just perfectly prepares and presents an opportunity to use this type of technology. But what's more interesting about this technology is it's going to be used for much, much more than influenza detection. Let's see. Injectable body sensors take personal chemistry to a cell phone closer to reality. Injectable body sensors, huh? Here it is. This is directly from their site. There's all the information you need to see. This is implants, man. Digital implants. Digital implants. Profusa is leading the development of bioengineered sensors that become one with the body to detect and continuously transmit actionable medical-grade data of body chemistry for personal and medical use, overcoming the foreign body response to implantable monitoring for long-term use. Its tissue-integrated biosensors open the door to accessing, connecting, and applying body chemistry in unprecedented ways, transforming the management of personal health and disease. Wow. Profusa's Lumi oxygen platform is CE marked for sale in EU for monitoring tissue oxygen perfusion in the clinical management of peripheral artery disease and chronic wounds. In the US, the Lumi is an investigational device limited by US law to investigational use. Investigational use, huh? I wonder what they are investigating. Privately held company, of course. Let's continue here. Are populations being primed for nano microchips inside vaccines? This is a pretty old article here, far before COVID was a thing. In 2005, the World Health Organization developed international health regulations that would bind all 194 member countries to pandemic emergency guidelines, which could enforce such a mandate. Without these procedures of public health and propagandized vaccine campaigns in place, there would be little or no voluntary cooperation from the public to roll up their sleeves and accept the inoculations. Public participation is an essential tool that will soon allow Big Pharma to inject the most effective surveillance tool ever designed into billions of people. Although nanotechnology manufacturing is currently available on a global scale, before biotech companies are able to initiate mass production and testing of nanomicrochips inside of vaccines, they will likely sell the idea to the public through various health enhancement scenarios. They will encourage participation and publicly announce regulatory approval from the same policies and regulatory agencies they helped create. By midsummer of 2009, the WHO and the Center of Disease Control, CDC, effectively hyped a false flu pandemic and convinced the world to submit to H1N1 vaccines. Additional doses of propaganda and possibly a biological event may equally convince populations to knowingly accept microchips inside of vaccines under the guise of a greater good for humanity. When our brain functions are already connected to supercomputers by means of radio implants and microchips, it will be too late for protest. Very, very interesting. This seems to be exactly what's going on right now in 2020. Injecting this sensor under your skin could prevent future pandemics. So of course, this is all about preventing pandemics, right? What a perfect guise to roll out this type of universal tracking system. One of the scariest parts of the coronavirus is its dormant period. An infected person could be walking around further spreading the disease for up to 2 weeks before they even show any symptoms that they are sick. But what if there were a way to know whether a person was sick before the fever and coughing start? So here we have in March, Mashable promoting the propaganda that would soon to be rolled out by way of Profusa. It's what we're seeing now. In March, we weren't aware of this, at least the public wasn't. But the whole idea, this reminds me of the asymptomatic component that we've been falsely indoctrinated with by way of this COVID situation. They have to get us to believe that this thing is unscientifically, of course, asymptomatic. That way, you'll never know who has it. So they could bring out the idea, what if we can get a technology that could detect the disease early, even prior to symptoms, or detect someone who is asymptomatic? Of course, this is perfect because now the general population will accept the technology because we believe that this thing is asymptomatic. So of course, it would benefit us all if we had some type of technology, that could detect it before the fever and coughing start. Oh, goodness gracious, guys. So they were already talking about this, Profusa, in March. Very interesting. Profusa is conducting the study in a partnership with Nonprofit Research Institute, RTI International, Duke University, and Imperial College London. It's also funded by a DARPA research and award in hopes to release the results in early 2021. That seems to be around the time Fauci and Gates are talking about a vaccine being available. Isn't the timing behind all of this just so perfect and convenient? Along with monitoring oxygen levels with the Lumi system, of course, it could also use heart rate levels or other markets to contribute to building the algorithm. Again, here we go with the algorithm. 5G, digital grid. This is all tying in together perfectly, isn't it? The injectable sensor isn't as scary from a privacy standpoint as it might sound. Here we go with the qualifications. Without the part that adheres to the skin, it doesn't do anything at all, let alone transmit data about you. We'll see how long it takes before the part that adheres to the skin is rolled out and required. Right? It's all incremental, step by step. They have to give these qualifications to make you feel okay, so you'll trust them, right? This is giving you the false illusion of trust. That means the sensor itself is not something that could transmit data like location or even medical information. So visions of an injectable sensor funded by the military to monitor us at all times are not exactly accurate. Phew. Oh, now I feel better. Oh, they just think we're so stupid. Like we're all a bunch of little children. This is really interesting. This tells you a lot here. Check this out. About Profusa, based in Emeryville, California. Right down the street from my alma mater. Profusa is a digital, healthy company led by visionary scientific founders, an experienced management team, and a world-class board of directors who share the long-term goal of improving health and well-being for patients worldwide. With its long-lasting, injectable, and affordable biosensors and its intelligent data platform, Profusa aims to provide people with a personalized biochemical signature rooted in data that clinicians trust and rely upon. This data may allow people to act as an active and educated participant alongside their care team and understand how their choice and decisions impact health and well-being day in and day out. Now, this is what I find most interesting. Lumi, Profusa, and the Profusa logo are registered trademarks of Profusa Inc. in the United States, Canada, European Union, China, Japan, South Korea, and Australia. Now, what is so fascinating about all of these specific locations? If you pay attention, each one of these, every single one of these mentioned here, all have been heavily impacted by this COVID scamdemic. It's almost as if these are the testing grounds: the United States, Canada, European Union, China, Japan, South Korea, and Australia. These locations have been in the news more than any. And in fact, these specific locations have been directly in coordination with this scamdemic, this fake pandemic situation. But they're also directly connected to Profusa and the digital technology that's coming out as a savior for this scamdemic. Everything ties in together perfectly. It makes sense why we are currently being inundated with exaggerated and propagandized shootings and deaths via policemen, engineered riots and delusional protests, designed wildland project interface burnout fires, not-so-natural disasters, and of course, Trumpians versus the libtard left engaging in ideological chessboard warfare. Nothing to see here, folks. All the while, as your eyes and thumbs stay singed to the screens of your devices, the fourth industrial revolution is being procured in the background, seasoned and rubbed just right for its serving. Our plates are being made, and the table is set. Now that COVID has strategically destroyed economic infrastructure and social competence, engineered politics have destabilized sovereignty and psychological well-being. Now, all that is left is to usher in the centralizing element, that will push everyone into the new abnormal, the new system that is waiting for us all, under the guise of universal health care, financial transaction convenience and security for a global economy, technology equality by closing the digital divide, and most importantly, disease detection. The biomicrochip is here, and we warned you a long time ago. Conspiracy theory is now conspiracy fact. The question isn't, when will this all happen? The question is, will you let it happen? Choose whom you will serve this day.
Just put on your BioRing and go about your day. BioRing will measure all your activity, stress, sleep patterns, heart rate, distance, steps, and provide you with personalized fitness and health plans catered to your needs. It will vibrate to notify you of anything important to your health and can be easily customized to include smartphone notifications as well. To view your activity, simply sync the BioRing with your smartphone or tablet and receive all the information you need through the highly advanced yet user-friendly app.
Charter City is stunned by the sudden rollout of Rook Unlimited's most fantastic device ever. The Smart Mark. Throw your other devices away, because the Smart Mark is more than just a phone. It's part of you. Use it as cash. Book your travel. And even shoot video. Distribution points are all over the city. And don't let the lines discourage you. The Rook Unlimited Smart Mark is worth the wait.
I never realized how wonderful technology could make me feel. The Smart Mark has brought order to my life.
And the best part? It's absolutely free.
The Trump administration unveiling its plan to distribute a coronavirus vaccine as quickly as possible, and also its goal that no one will have to pay out of pocket for a vaccine. Anjali Kamlani joins us now with the latest on this. Anjali?
Thanks, Shauna. Yep, as you've laid out, the news of the day is that we are hearing from the Trump administration, both with a playbook for how vaccines will be distributed throughout the nation, as well as state by state and community by community, with a focus on some of the minority communities as well as tribal nations. So a really robust sort of really layout that we got finally today to look at where exactly we'll go. We know we've heard from the administration on Operation Warp Speed over time that they're going to be really focused on priority when we first get that approval. And where that approval comes in is still up in the air, though we have heard from some companies that late October is the earliest they'll get an efficacy indication and be able to then apply for that emergency use authorization. It looks more likely that is going to happen based on many reports today, as well as an update from Operation Warp Speed itself, talking about how there will be distribution through McKesson, as we've come to understand, as well as through the DoD involvement. And that really is a widespread, already existing relationship with the CDC. McKesson already distributes somewhere in the ballpark of 80 million doses of vaccines per year, and that contract can scale up to 900 million if needed. Some of the things to consider really are age, as well as the fact that many of these vaccines are 2-dose vaccines. So really looking at how to make sure that any individual getting the vaccine of one company follows up with that booster of the exact same company, because a lot more, really is unknown there. And when will this all happen, right? So the document looks at January 2021 as widespread rollout. We've heard from other officials that April 2021 is when, widespread use will be in place. But others have said that it could take a little bit longer. It could take well into mid 2021 or later, even before life returns to normal.
They seem to be establishing checkpoints of some kind. This is how they keep order.
In New York City, where there's an advisory of sorts for visitors and residents arriving on planes, trains, and automobiles.
If you come here, you must quarantine. It is not optional.
Travelers from 34 states and Puerto Rico, deemed coronavirus hotspots, will now be greeted by COVID checkpoints set up to enforce New York State's mandatory 14-day quarantine.
This is serious stuff. and it's time for everyone to realize it.
Mayor Bill de Blasio said contact tracers will be positioned at the city's bus and train stations, checking IDs to register travelers. But the mayor's announcement seemed to catch the Port Authority, which oversees much of the region's transportation infrastructure, off guard. The Port Authority telling CBS News today they were unaware of the mayor's initiative prior to his announcement yesterday. And now some are raising concerns about civil liberties.
I'm not crazy about the idea of just randomly stopping people like that without probable cause.
Well, there are still questions about how exactly this 2-week quarantine will be enforced. The city's threatening up to $10,000 in fines to travelers from COVID hotspot states who do not comply with the mandate.
No good. No good.
What? No. Robert.
Get your hands off my wife. Get your hands off. Stand down. Lieutenant Robert. Stand her again. Stand down. Stand down, soldier. Stand down. I am Lieutenant Colonel Robert Neville. I'm ordering you to scan her again. Scan her again.
All right, scan her again.
It's clear. It's clear. Move through.
This is the nightmare I warned you about. People think smart marks are brand new rook tech that will improve their lives. They don't know they're being tricked.
All smart marks so far. But your chip makes it possible to control everyone in Charter City, whether they're marked or not.
This is Mr. Romney Wordsworth. In his last 48 hours on Earth, he's a citizen of the state, but will soon have to be eliminated. Because he is built out of flesh, and because he has a mind.
You've been under investigation, Mr. Wordsworth, for the mandatory period of 1 year and 11 months. You're found to be obsolete. The purpose of this hearing is to make a finding in the matter and make a sentence accordingly. Do you understand that, Mr. Wordsworth?
You have nothing but spindly limbs and a dream, and the state has no use for your kind.
I don't care. I tell you, I don't care. I'm a human being. I exist. And if I speak one thought aloud, that thought lives, even after I'm shoveled into my grave.
98.6. You're fine. Now hurry up or you miss your bus.
Gone are the dark clouds that had me blind. It's gonna be a bright sunshiny day. I think I can make it now. The pain is gone. All of the bad feelings have disappeared. Here comes that rainbow I've been praying for. It's gonna be a bright sunshiny day. It's gonna be a bright sunshiny day.